Public Nemesis Media.
Good afternoon and welcome to Public Nemesis Media. Let's talk about Yugoslavia a bit. So, this is actually a video that I was thinking about making for quite some time. It's about, I guess you can call it my experience, because most of the stuff that I'm gonna talk in this video are what I've been told from my older family members. Because I do have family members that were born in like the 1940s or early 1950s, and they remember those times from Yugoslavia. And I believe this is going to be an interesting topic because I learned about how people used to think back then. So and in general how the whole country kind of worked, at least in some aspects. So this is just an interesting topic. So let's talk about Yugoslavia. Just a little note: I am not a fan. I do not like Yugoslavia. I think it was more of a something that sounds good on paper, but in practice it was executed poorly. And frankly, I don't care how much you flip it around a bit. You know, Kingdom of Yugoslavia and Socialist Federal Yugoslavia were very different, and they both failed. Like, the only reason they quote-unquote functioned was because they had authoritarian regimes. You know, when you force that state upon the people, when you force the unity, only then it quote-unquote works. But as soon as you give them an option to do anything else, you know, how people say democracy or anything like that, as soon as you give them an option, everything just falls apart like that. So it's an inherently bad idea. You can't just say, I'm gonna remove this, I'm gonna add this, I'm gonna remove these people and just let these people, and magically everything will work. It won't. All right, that's how it is. Again, I don't think that it's like a super evil idea. I just think that it was like something that was, again, sounding good on paper, but in practice executed quite poorly. And it was executed quite poorly because you can't really work with something that was broken since day one. So, but again, that's just my opinion. Although my opinion is kind of based on the stuff that I've been researching about, and this is, I guess you can call it research. So, first family member we're gonna mention is my grandmother from my mother's side. You know, an ethnic Serb, yes, and she kind of talks about how it was during Tito's time. And what really is interesting is that there was, as she told me, there were situations where some guy got in an argument with another guy. They were probably neighbors, and the Serb guy decided to get along with a third guy who just jumped in, who also didn't like the first guy. And they told the police, or whatever was the force that they did this stuff back then, that the guy who they're against said something bad about Tito. He didn't. He did not say anything bad, but that wasn't necessary. You just need two false witnesses who said he was talking bad stuff about Tito, and next thing you knew, off to jail he goes. That's exactly what she told me. You know, we do have some conversations like that. You know, it was especially noticeable in the Serbian federal unit, because, and you probably, I'm not sure if you heard of this historian. His name is Ivo Banac, and he's a Croatian historian who had a book back in 1988 about the Inforbureau period. And according to the stats that he gathered, I'm not exactly sure. It's been some time, but I exactly sure where he got those numbers from, where he did this research. But I remember the the percentage was like 51% were from the Serbian federal unit, and 49 were from everywhere else, from Slovenia to Macedonia, and he explained that as like a result of Serbs loving Russia, and because of that Russophilia, they were the most ones that wanted to stay alongside the Soviet Union. And yes, I do know there's a difference between Russia and the Soviet Union, not just with the fact that there are other states, but also with the way the country functioned. A lot of people mix those two terms, I'm just saying. But yeah, so the fact when my grandmother said you can just tell someone out there, he didn't say good things about Tito, he said some bad things, and you just get her another guy who probably doesn't like him, and he also says the same thing, and off to jail you go. I remember some people telling me that, or maybe not me specifically, but I heard some people saying that for a joke about Tito you could go to prison for a simple joke, and that actually was active during the 1980s as well. And I'm mentioning that period because Tito died in May of 1980, so even when he's dead, for a joke about him, to prison you go. So it's all interesting information. Next family member I'm gonna mention is my grandmother's brother, my great uncle, I believe in English. I sometimes visit him because grandma makes something for him, and I walk to his place, and we live in the same town. It's not that far away, and every time that I visit him, he always asks me to sit a little and just talk to him about stuff. And every once in a while we will talk about what's going on, football and current politics, and as well as like the past. He blames King Alexander of the Karađorđe dynasty for the creation of Yugoslavia. He thought that it was a bad idea. He didn't have like interesting solution, I can guess, which is like when Yugoslavia was created, you should have moved some people from like one part of the country to the other part. Move Slovenians a bit south, and I don't know, Macedonians a bit north, move Montenegrins a bit here, and just kind of mix things up a little, so they all kind of mix up, and they all sort of, because they're all mixed up, they just become Yugoslavs. They don't have that much strong national identity because everyone is sort of like mixed. There were cases like that. There were some people, about 100,000 of them, that identified simply as Yugoslavs, and they're mostly from like a mixed background. That's what I heard, at least. Some people, I also heard that some did not even want to say their actual national identity for whatever the reason, so they simply said Yugoslav. That's where I heard, and that could be a solution. But remember, by 1918, the national identities were kind of, most of them were formed. Montenegrin started to get formed because I talked about in one of my videos, they were dissatisfied that the country of Montenegro was kind of lowered to just like it was relegated to just like an ordinary piece of land in the larger Yugoslav kingdom. Macedonian identity is also starting to form. The Muslim identities, I guess there was something a bit distinguished. They were a bit informing too, but it was already, even back then, it was already distinct from the Croats and the Serbs. So, I guess, but what's very interesting, that what he told me is about the TV news, the news on the TV. It's very interesting because news being news, they can be very dishonest about stuff. They can straight up lie about stuff. It happens even today. It happens everywhere across the world. Call it propaganda. That's just how news works. Everybody knows that. I don't have to tell you that. But what's interesting is that he mentioned that his mother, my great-grandmother, believed, according to his words, believed in pretty much everything that was being said on the news. Everything. And he told her, you don't have to believe in everything. They can lie. And she's like, no, they always speak the truth. And it was, and that kind of went on until there was some news reportage in our town about some event. I don't remember what event it was, but she witnessed it with her own eyes. And later that day, she watched it on the news, and the way the news reported that event was very different from what she saw. And then she kind of realized that, and even asked, like, confusingly, like, how can they lie? How can they lie to you? It's like that's what news does, Graham. I'm sorry. But my main point is that you see how back then people just kind of believed everything that they were told. I think it's really a good thing that a lot of people these days are quite skeptical of just about everything. I guess it's not exactly the healthiest thing to constantly be paranoid about everyone and everything, but that's way better than just, hearing something from like a big TV station and you automatically believing in it without any sort of critical belief or not critical thinking or anything that might suggest that they might be wrong, because hey, why would they lie to me? That's how people thought back then, and no wonder that propaganda was highly effective. Of course, I don't believe everyone back then was like an NPC that would believe everything you told them. Even today, you have people like that. It's not that black and white. People back then were dumb, but today are smart. I'm just saying, it's fascinating how, there's still like a different mentality a bit overall. So, and how much easier, especially in an authoritarian regime, to manipulate people, and they'll eat it up. Despite all of this that I've been saying, there is actually someone that does kind of view that era of the Balkans a bit positively, and that is my grandmother from my father's side, a ethnic Macedonian. And before someone jumps, here it is, Macedonians loving Tito, blah blah blah, let me just tell you her reasoning. She is understandably so very dissatisfied with the way the current country of North Macedonia, Republic of North Macedonia, I just say Macedonia even today, but I'm just saying it a bit because it's official right now, as it's known. How that country works today, I do pay attention to what's happening there, and like a typical Balkan place, there's a lot of corruption, a lot of manipulation with the people, and it's typical. Politics are dumb, It's I've seen stuff. I know that people like this is gonna be a very weird situation, but I remember her telling me that I don't recall when it was, but she had like a note that said that they didn't pay the electricity back in like 2010, 2011, and that period was like about a whole decade ago. When she told me that, it was about I remember visiting then, and it was I believe it was a little bit before the corona outbreak. I think I don't remember. It was like a typical, me visiting during the summer with my family, and she like telling me that happened, but thankfully she saved all the what do you call them, bills, those little papers that when you actually pay the electricity, you kind of keep it, as evident, as like sort of evidence. I don't know how to call them in English, but I guess you already know what I mean. She kept them, she dug it up, she found that month back in like 2010, 2011, around that period of time. She actually found it, and she sent it to them, and only then did they like drop that asking to pay that month that they quote unquote didn't pay. So, and then when she later on, when she talks about that Yugoslav era, she makes it sound like everything functioned. She makes it sound like the country functioned. I can't say functioned. I'm incredible. The way she explained to me is that the country worked. Everything was a bit like stable, so to say. Maybe things weren't perfect, but at least you get what you need. Like nobody's really messing with you like that. People get jobs. That's what she told me. Yeah. So there's a bit of like that, and I think that really just made me think for a bit, and made me realize that maybe this dissatisfaction with the current state is what kind of causes a bit that nostalgia for the Yugoslav times. Just think about it. Maybe there's a case of like pink glasses, what I'm gonna call them, like pink lenses, where you kind of view at the that Yugoslav era and Titoism, and maybe there's like a bit of an overly glorified view of that whole era, and how and maybe how they kind of ignore the negative side and just remember all the positives. I guess that's how the human brain works. You suppress the negative if you can. So, but overall, it just made me realize that maybe because things don't function now very good, that they kind of have that nostalgia for Yugoslavia, because everything is corrupted, and the politicians are lying, and I mean, let's be real, that happened in Tito's era too. But apparently, as they say, at least you can get better jobs. A lot of people. This is a problem in Balkans in general. A lot of people are leaving. They leave for mostly for other European countries, like I don't know, Switzerland, Germany, or even if not there, then they leave to United States, Australia. I mean, it happened even back in the 20th century, but again, it's dissatisfaction with the current, and the previous era was not that bad, so therefore it was good for Macedonia. I guess that's kind of the mentality that kind of people get. I do understand them. I still think they're a bit like viewing things from a pink lens, but yeah, it definitely kind of makes me realize that how people kind of think, how people view the Yugoslav era. You kind of see, I guess, there's a bit of a lot of modern politics to it too, because you probably noticed that my Serbian grandmother from my mother's side and her brother view the whole thing negatively. A lot of you can see that a lot of Serbs view Yugoslavia in a negative light, and especially Socialist Federal Republic of Yugoslavia. And when it comes to politics, of course, the politicians look at that and they're like, you know what, we're gonna talk bad things about that era, and we're gonna be a bit like different stuff. We're gonna talk bad about Tito. We're gonna say how he was against the Serbs. There might be some truth to that, but I'm not gonna get into that like in this video. We're gonna be like that. We're gonna do like a rehabilitation of the Chetnik movement. We're gonna make Draža Mihailović the real hero, and in Macedonia it's a bit different. It's like, oh, we were big anti-fascists. We finally got us know our country. Tito recognized us and all that. I said even in my previous videos, it's a historical inaccuracy, like to say Tito was the first one to kind of recognize Macedonians, how he gave them a state, how he gave them recognition. But because almost everyone makes that claim, and the fact that Tito actually liked it kind of give him credit, then no wonder Macedonians view him so favorably. Let's be real here for a second. It's no wonder they view him favorably when you give him recognition. Macedonians view, of course, they're gonna view it positively. Why wouldn't they? The meaning is kind of the same, but you kind of flip off the viewpoint, the way you view it. You flip it out a little, and now something that you view as bad, they view as good. So, yeah. That's pretty much how my older family members view the Yugoslav era. I hope you liked listening to this, I guess you can call it a podcast video or something. Guys, I'm sorry, I still just lost enthusiasm. I still don't have the enthusiasm to make quote-unquote real videos. It just kind of left me. I don't have that. Again, I'm not quitting anywhere or anything. I need to find that spark, that sort of like will to do it, because it existed. It came and went, but it was there. So yeah, that's all I have for this video. Thanks again for listening, and I'll see you maybe soon, maybe not that soon. So yeah, goodbye.